What's up, everyone? This is Christian Duke, StrengthAddicts.com, brought to you courtesy of IronMagLabs.com, your go-to source for all your bodybuilding and fitness supplements. So I got the hot spot on. The internet's a little shaky here in Louisville, Kentucky. It's going to snow here, I'm told. How do you guys like that? Snow in the middle of April. I mean, is this not spring? Today, I want to talk about Conor McGregor. I want to talk about the fact that he at least had enough sense, and that's not something that he has a lot of, but he had enough sense to turn himself in. But man, 3 misdemeanors, a felony for what? I mean, what did he get out of this? I'm really curious. I mean, what did he get out of this? He's going to have a criminal record. He's going to get sued by at least the people that he physically injured on that bus. He's going to be sued by anybody and everybody that had any money on the not 1, not 2, but 3 UFC fights that were canceled as a result of his actions and that of his confederates or co-conspirators. And, it really is very much a conspiracy because you've got, basically a small army under the direction of one person. And this small army under the direction of one person was allowed into the building by a credentialed source. So they're part of the conspiracy. You don't even have one overt act. You got 2 or 3 or 4 in furtherance of that conspiracy. I'm surprised conspiracy wasn't one of the charges. And I'll be honest with you guys, prosecutors don't want to look weak on crime. So if a prosecutor of a DA, for example, says, Mr. McGregor, we're going to go ahead and give you 50 hours of picking garbage on the side of the highway, and you have to go to some anger management, that DA is going to look like a bitch. And the thing is, if a DA looks like a bitch, that DA is not going to get reelected. And if he's not elected, but his boss is elected or her boss is elected, then that higher up is not going to win the election because of a sweetheart deal given to a guy that, quite frankly, doesn't deserve it. So in all honesty, I can't imagine a situation where a DA is going to say, well, Mr. McGregor, even though you threw a dolly, guys, garbage can railing, okay, but a dolly, that's a pretty heavy piece of equipment. So even though you threw a dolly at a bus's windows with complete disregard for the fact that you could have possibly, at the very minimum, injured, maimed, or even killed the inhabitants of that bus, we're going to go ahead and give you a sweetheart deal. What's up, Chris Lagoon Griffin? We're going to go ahead and give you a sweetheart deal, and that's that. That's not going to happen. But now, if a DA gave Conor a deal, the judge has to approve of that deal. And that could be anything as little as your petty misdemeanors all the way up to your RICOs. You know what I mean? Now, there have been some cases where, honestly, I scratch my head, and I don't know what kind of judge would sign off, like Sammy the Bull Gravano, who admitted to 19 murders and got 5 years in witness protection. But you know what? In those types of cases, the judges don't understand. Listen, guys, if you guys think that the LCN, La Cosa Nostra, has been successfully prosecuted because of good lawyering, you're nuts. The only reason that they've been able to get convictions is because people rat. I mean, that's the only reason that they've been able to get any convictions, because of rats and wiretaps. It's not because of great lawyering. But, in that situation, the judge is, well, do I work with the U.S. government or not? In this situation, Conor McGregor is not going to get the deference. The prosecutor's not going to say, well, Your Honor, he's a very skilled MMA fighter, and so for this very reason, he shouldn't go to jail. We should go ahead and give him a sweetheart deal. Like 700 pounds Rip says he gets probation, he can't use his roids. Well, I don't know if there's anabolic steroids in MMA. I mean, I would be shocked. I mean, just because they're in every other sport, from golf to bodybuilding. But the thing is look, no judge is going to sign off on a sweetheart deal. No DA is going to give him a sweetheart deal. Okay. If anything, they might wash away some of those misdemeanors, but the felony, that's not going to go anywhere. Okay. Aside from that, and all, what kind of jail time are we talking about? Look at Michael Vick. That guy, they should have stuck Michael Vick in jail for 150 years and never let him out, getting ass banged every single day. That would have been justice for Michael Vick, because I hate people that do dog fighting. Michael Vick was part of a dog ring where they were the dogs that survived or that didn't win, they'd strangle them, they'd electrocute them, they'd drown them to death. He's a piece of shit. But even he only got a year in a federal prison. And then, PETA let him watch some VHS tapes, and they said that he was, rehabilitated and they loved animals. Bullshit. PETA got money, and they said, we're going to give you, some absolution for your horrific crimes, and you could be on your way. Conor McGregor is not going to get more than, I don't know, a couple of weeks, maybe a month at the most. You know what I mean? But yeah, exactly. Well, exactly like Chris says, Michael Vick should have been hit with RICO, because that's really what it was. It was a conspiracy. It was a guy that had the kennel. It was a guy that bought the dogs. It was a guy that trained with gear, with I don't know why. I mean, they pick and choose who they do it with. You know what I mean? A lot of these Ponzi schemes, your white collar crimes, those are conspiracies if they ever were conspiracies, but the government doesn't like to go after them with those types of charges. So, embezzlement, that kind of thing. But to me, honestly, guys, really, it's crazy, because all he's going to do is a couple of weeks or a month. But let me tell you something. He's going to use every single trick in the book. He's going to pass and pass and pass. He's going to move for this, move for that. He's going to stall the hell so that he doesn't go to jail. Because a guy like him, and it's not, look, guys, I'm not saying that he's going to get attacked. I'm not saying that they're going to humiliate him. I'm just saying that this is a guy that, in my humble opinion, is used to living in the lap of luxury. He's used to being in front of the cameras. He's used to pretty much banging whatever woman he wants. I don't even know if he's married or has a girlfriend. It doesn't really matter, because well, yeah, he could get deported, but it probably won't happen, because, again, see, and I don't want to get all political with you guys, but, the same thing with conspiracy, the way that I believe that conspiracy is used for selective crimes or selective criminals, I believe deportation is used for poor people, really. Poor people, your blue collar criminals, your that type of people. They don't deport rich people. I mean, it's just don't. They don't deport rich people. And so, no, I mean, he could get deported. I mean, look, you throw a dolly into a bus with people, that's not only moral turpitude, that's fucking reckless as it comes. I mean, like, literally, if somebody would have been dumb enough, and maybe it's not even a question of dumb enough, because sometimes people, when they're like in a state of shock, they don't react. And that's not really a question of being smart or dumb or stupid or whatever. It's just how people react. So if somebody had a window seat, it's not unusual for people to like a window seat on a bus ride. They might want to look out the window. And in New York City, there's a lot of stuff to look out the window. Boston, Philly, there's a lot to look out the window. So if somebody was sitting by the window and they see, oh, look, that's Conor McGregor. Wow. You know what I mean? And, Conor McGregor, in their mind, has a dolly, and he is going to throw that dolly right at the window by which I'm sitting next to. Now, if that person doesn't move right away, it's not because they're stupid. It's just because they're in a state of shock. On the one hand, they're starstruck because there's someone they look up to. On the other hand, that motherfucker's about to lunge a dolly right at the window that I'm sitting next to. If that person doesn't move right away, guys, listen, if a dolly can break a window, it's still going to have force after breaking that window. Could you imagine if he would have, I don't know if you could kill somebody. I know that you could take a rock, and if you hit someone right here in the temple, you'll kill him. Now, I'm not suggesting he should be charged with attempted murder or anything like that, but I'm just saying, if you hit somebody with a rock right here, you'll kill him. So I would imagine a dolly coming through the window would do them some serious damage. So to me, honestly, look, he's probably going to do a month in jail. He's probably going to get a back massage every day he's in there. He's probably going to get food brought into him by like Gordon Ramsay, and he's probably going to have access to 150 channels on satellite. He's going to have the easiest, sweetest month of his life behind bars, but he's going to have to do some time behind bars, at least a month, for Christ's sake, at least a month. Then when he gets out of there, he's going to get sued by everybody and their mother. And then after that, I don't think Dana White's going to let him back in, just because of the fact that A, Dana White's the king. B, UFC is his kingdom. He built it from the ground up. He bought out all the competition. There's no one else left but him. Conor McGregor basically went like this and spat right in the face of UFC. He wiped his ass with the UFC. So if Dana White lets him come back, Dana White looks like a bitch. So quite frankly, and Dana White's not a bitch, not at all. Dana White is tough, and Dana White knows how to make money. Conor McGregor, even boxing, you look at Floyd Mayweather Jr. in boxing, or back in the day, Oscar De La Hoya or Julio Cesar Chavez or any of those guys. Yeah, they were big. Lennox Lewis, Tyson, Foreman, they were all big. But a good promoter can find someone else that's big. And in UFC, there's so many other competitors, so many other fighters. Conor McGregor is not the only one. And Conor McGregor, I think, made a huge, huge miscalculation of judgment if he was even thinking straight to begin with. But I think he was. Because the fact is, they were let in by a credentialed source. They assembled a group of people. They went to a specific place in the Barclays Center, and they carried out a specific action. These things don't just happen by coincidence. This was all planned out. How far in advance, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. Even if it was planned out 5 minutes in advance, it's premeditated, it's planned, it's staged. That's going to, increase whatever penalties there are as a result. I mean, a first-term law student can tell you that. A junior high school student can tell you that. I mean, it is what it is. So, I just don't know. And honestly, I made a video yesterday, and I was kind of like joking around a little bit with it because I didn't think the guy was going to turn himself in. I really didn't think so. I mean, he's got money, he's got international ties. He just doesn't have to come back. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that that's right. Of course, it's not right. But how many times in the world in life do things get done that are not right? You know what I mean? But well, he could fight Manny Pacquiao possibly. I mean, that's the thing. Boxing is a hell of a lot more forgiving, because boxing, if you fuck up in the WBC, you can go to the IBA, you can go to the ring, you can go to the WBO. I mean, there's different places you can go to fight. With MMA, there's UFC. There's nowhere else to go. I mean, you could fight in those blood sport type, arenas in Thailand, but you're not going to make the kind of bank you're going to make in a UFC fight. You're not going to get the promo you're going to get from a UFC fight. And honestly, you're not going to get residuals. That's a bar fight. You know what I mean? So there's really nowhere to go for him. The only thing he could do is beg, pay, beg, and pay, and just hope to God. I think that they would let him back in, but it's not going to be for at least 12 to 18 months. And that's that's like the minimum. Because if Dana White lets him back in, let's say he does a month in jail, he settles with everybody, so there's no law. That's the other thing he's going to have to do. He's going to have to settle with every single plaintiff, because if he lets even one single case go to trial, that's more of a bad shadow for UFC. Because right now, what he's done, he's already caused a blemish on UFC. The mainstream media is going to have a field day with UFC. The same field day they have with bodybuilding, no matter what the federation, no matter what the country, bodybuilding is stigmatized by the mainstream media for whatever reason. Now UFC is stigmatized because of Conor McGregor. And now, you're going to see those roid rage comments. And I don't even know if Conor does steroids. He probably doesn't. He has a very natural looking physique. Who knows? But the thing is, the MMA guys wouldn't be using anabolic steroids to grow muscle. They would be using it to recover from, extreme workouts and especially beatings. Yeah, I mean, because I know that you guys, I know that Chris and Ripped and whoever else is in here knows this, but a lot of the mainstream people think that gear is only used to grow your muscles. In fact, I would say that gear for these people would be used to recover from horrendous beatings. And some of the worst beatings they take aren't even in the octagon per se, but they're in the training that leads up to that. Yeah, I mean, it's not just so much even the beatings they take at the hands of their opponent, but also the rigorous training, the diet. It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. And some of these guys are doing it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year. I mean, the rich guys, they're fortunate enough to have, 1 or 2 main card fights, and that's it. The guys coming up, I don't know what UFC pays, but I'm thinking if you're on the lower end of the spectrum and you're trying to make your bones and you're trying to make a name for yourself, you might not be making more than a couple $1,000 a fight. And that's even for fights that are on TV, just because nobody cares about your fights. I mean, you're nobody. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but you really are nobody, especially if you're cannon fodder, because, a lot of fights, they're not title fights. A lot of fights, you're just trying to gain points so you could be on the radar. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, honestly, when they bounce back like that, it takes quite a toll on the body too. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those guys are abusing cortisone too, because I would imagine some of those guys probably have injuries that maybe don't rise up to the level of immediate medical attention, but they're probably in that gray area where, technically they should go see a specialist. Technically, they should take some time off to the side, but they might be, chasing that title fight, or they might be chasing that positioning in their weight class that they just don't, and they just allow their injury or their ailment to worsen just because they don't want to lose their spot. You know what I mean? 7 pounds. Rip says John McEnroe used a shit ton of gear and cocaine. Cocainum. Admittedly, I mean, yeah, it's very possible. It's very, very possible. Golfers. Look, golfers, and the term tennis elbow, it comes from tennis. The truth is, tennis players, golfers, sports that you would never imagine, that you would never think would use gear. They use it so they can recover. I mean, like Nadal or Federer or Andy Murray, or these guys, they're on the very top of their game. Sometimes they have to play 2 matches in a day. A match could last 3 or 4 hours. Yeah, I mean, and they're running back and forth in a square. They're running back and forth, up and down. Their arms. I mean, look at baseball pitchers. I mean, I don't know how some of their arms don't fall off. And relief pitchers don't have it much better either, because a relief pitcher could basically be eating shit for 8.5 innings, and all of a sudden he has to go in there and he has to pitch like he's been pitching the whole night, and that also puts stress on the arm. And so, the reality of the matter is that baseball. Shit, man. I mean, all the sports. That's why I'm saying I don't believe that there is a single sport where gear is not present. I mean, I just don't. And honestly, cortisone is gear. I hate to break it to you, but it's a cortico. It's not an anabolic, but it's geared. It's a hormone. It's an exogenous hormone. Whether it builds a muscle or tears it down, it's being used to help somebody continue on with a sport. One is legal and one is not, but whatever. I mean, alcohol is legal and pot's illegal. Go figure. How many people have died from pot? 0. How many people have died from cirrhosis of the liver? Millions of them. And so just because something's legal doesn't mean that it's okay. You could take a bottle of aspirin and it could burn through the lining of your stomach and you drop dead as a doornail, and that's legal. And, you could be fucking any age and go in there and buy aspirin. Who's going to stop you from buying aspirin? It's like legal. It's safe, right? Bayer makes it. I mean, Bayer wouldn't make something that's bad for you, right? But you could smoke a fucking, you could smoke half a tree and you'd be okay. I mean, I'm not saying that you'd be, well, you'd be okay. But well, yeah, and that's the other thing too. Like Chris says, it's difficult to get popped for low dose GH. I mean, a lot of places don't even know how to test for GH. I don't even know if you can test for GH. Yeah, I mean, so now the other thing that I find very puzzling, which again, this has nothing to do with Conor McGregor. I mean, he's done. So I mean, like, to talk about something else real quick. But one thing that bothers me about some of these natural federations, and by the way, guys, I don't know. I have a problem with anything that calls itself natural, just because it's like, I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, what's natural? Like, I mean, I get it. So no exogenous hormones, but like, I mean, I don't know. Pre-digested whey protein, like whey protein isolate, hydrosolate. Is that natural? Creatine monohydrate. I mean, you basically have to eat like a wheelbarrow full of red meat to get natural. And how is that natural? Because it's legal. So I don't know. But here's the thing. Yeah, I don't think there's a way to test for GH. But I know what to say. I mean, there's some natural federations that if your testosterone to epitestosterone ratios are not what they say, then you're not natural. And you may never have taken a single exogenous hormone in your life. And you might pass the polygraph and you might pass your analysis. But according to their stipulations, you're not natural because your ratios are off. So if you have genetically high testosterone and it's too high for their liking, they'll fail you, even though they can't prove it. That's bullshit. That's total bullshit. But it happens. It's happened more than once. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking about it. So I kind of have like a gripe with some of the natural federations. I think to a certain extent they're full of themselves. You know what I mean? And they're pushing this agenda. And I think that a lot of these natural federations, first of all, they're a crock of shit. They're completely fraudulent because I don't believe that they're truly natural. And second of all, I believe they're just as bad for bodybuilding as is the mainstream media, because their obsession with anabolic steroids is so irrational and consumes them to the point of that's all they talk about. It's like, so I know a lot of atheists, And, I've got nothing against atheists. God bless them. Well, I guess I can't say God bless them because they don't believe in God. But I guess, I don't know, earth bless them. But then they don't believe in the waters. They're not Wiccans. So what could I say? I don't know. And they don't even believe in blessings because that's spiritual. Good for them. Okay, we'll just say that. Good for them. They're atheists. Good for them. But the point is that atheists, a lot of the ones that I know, go out of their way to going to religious people to remind them how stupid and ignorant and backward they are for believing in God when they're so enlightened because they don't believe in anything. You know what I'm saying? That to me is akin to these natural federations. Look, they don't want to use gear, fine. They don't want to use DHEA, fine. They don't want to use ephedrine, fine. They don't want to use whatever, fine. But it's the fact that they spend so much of their time sort of looking down on those who do, that to me, it's like, your whole purpose in life is to cast shade on bodybuilders that don't do it like you do. To me, that's just like, get a life. You know what I mean? But now, who needs a life is Conor McGregor, the poor bastard, because honestly, he is in rough shape. Anyways, I want to thank all 4 or 5 of you that were in here. I appreciate it. And we're going to keep doing this more and more. The YouTube lives, the Facebook lives, whatever it takes, guys, whatever it takes to get the word out there. It's very important. And I'm just going to keep doing it. Tomorrow, Saturday, in Louisville, Kentucky, we've got the Kentucky Derby Festival free posing clinic. Jimmy and Monica Hornbeck are putting that on at Louisville Athletic Center, Dixie Highway. That's going to be fantastic. I had lunch today with Hector Mendoza from MD Latino, also from Mid-Atlantic Muscle. We taped 4 episodes of Mid-Atlantic Muscle at Body Solutions Gym with myself and Hector, Jimmy Hornbeck, Gary Udit, John Powers, Monica Hornbeck. It was great. We did a show for the NPC Great Lakes, which is next week in Erie, Pennsylvania. I'll be at that show. We did one for the NPC Mountaineer Classic in Charleston, West Virginia. I'll be at that show. We did one for the NPC Titan Natural, which is April 28th. I will not be at that show, and that's in Woodbridge, Virginia. We did a show for the we did a show for the NPC Pittsburgh Pro Championships. That's Mr. Jim Mannion's show, and I will be there. In that show, actually, check out the guest posers for that show. Nathan Diasha, Sean Flexitron Roden, William Bonack, Ruli Winkler, Big Ramy, Dennis Wolf, Dexter Jackson, and Phil Heath. How do you like that? You will not find guest posers like that anywhere but the Mr. Olympia or the Arnold Classic. So that is May 4th and the 5th in Pittsburgh, and I will be there for that. And we also did one for we also did one for the NPC Max Muscle Virginia Classic, which I might have already said. And then we also did a show for May 12th, the NPC EAS Mike Francois Classic. Mike Francois is a monster, guys. He's a Nationals overall champion. He won the Arnold Classic, and he's a IFBB Hall of Fame bodybuilder, Joe Weir's IFBB Hall of Fame. So, Mike Francois has had that show forever, and he gets hundreds of competitors, very, very deep lineups right there in Columbus, in the Westerville section of Columbus. And I don't know if I'll be there. I went to his show in 2015, and it was fantastic. I loved it. There's a chance I might go. So many shows in the Mid-Atlantic Zone, and I also would like to go to at least one Steve Weinberger show, at least one. And, of course, I have to go to South Florida, to the Southern States, and also have to go to my friend Bill Wilmore's show in June, and I would like to go to the Ruby Classic so I can see Jason Genova and Dale Chance in the Delray Misfits, because, what would it be? What kind of year would this be if I didn't see the Delray Misfits and my friend PJ Braun and Diana Maybrook and that whole Boca Raton set? That's hardcore bodybuilding. Chris is in Boston, Boston's hardcore. New York's hardcore, you know what I mean? But come on, Boca's where it's at, man. That's where the hardcore people are at. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out. Bye.